Jesus Christ. Couldn't have lost any more amount of time. Like, there, you're not there. Hello, Izzy. You hear me now, right? So I'm gonna get started. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So today I'm gonna talk about the injured players and the suspended players that you should watch for, and the ones that you should think about drafting, and the ones that aren't really a good idea to draft, or just to understand the risk. So I'm gonna start with the more interesting ones, like Chris Godwin. Last year he tore his ACL and his MCL. Um, he had his surgery performed in January, so it's been like a little more than half a year. He's practicing, not he's not at 100% though. So you're pretty much risking that he's not going to be ready for week 1, and even if he does start, he's not going to be the same guy that, you drafted him to be in the beginning of 2021, where he was like amazing and Tom Brady's favorite target. He's being taken in the 5th round right now, so that's a little rich, but should he come back to full form, he's going to perform like a 2nd or 3rd rounder. You just got to keep watching the training camp and see how he's doing. But I mean, it's most likely that he'll start in week 1, but he's just going to be a little different, and he has to like get into game form over the next couple weeks. So take your chances with that. The next I have DeAndre Hopkins. He's suspended for performance enhancing drugs. He's definitely suspended for 6 weeks, so expect him back on week 7, obviously. And he's being drafted in around the 5th, the 6th round. Um, with DeAndre Hopkins, he's like a stash pick basically. And it's a little early for a stash pick, even though he's got huge upside when he returns. Um, yeah, that's all I could say about him. Alvin Kamara is probably one of the most polarizing picks. He's going in the mid-second round right now, and he hasn't been suspended yet, but he's in trouble for like felony battery. Um, they just pushed his hearing to September 29th, and it seems like some of the analysts are saying that it's not going to. They don't think they're going to suspend him this year. They think they're going to suspend him next year. But if like a video comes out and it shows him like punching someone in the neck, he's going to get suspended early, and you're going to lose him for the year. So he is going in the 2nd round, and if nothing happens, then you got him for a little cheaper. I think he should get pushed a little further because you just don't know with him. So um, you got to wait a little longer till we get some news with that. But he's a 2nd round pick. He's fully healthy. He's just waiting for that hearing. After that, we have J.K. Dobbins, and he tore his ACL in the beginning of last year, right before the season started. He tore his ACL, and he also injured his LCL. So he had his surgery in September 2021. He's almost back. He's getting drafted in the late 3rd, early 4th, which is like pretty much where he'd probably go in like the late 2nd if he was healthy. He's doing individual drills right now, but if things don't go his way, he could go on the PUP list, and he won't go for 4. He'll be like out of the lineup for 4 weeks. But I mean, he is getting closer, but you know, you're leaning towards stashing him, but we'll see. The next we have Cam Akers. He tore his Achilles in July of 2021, and he returned for the playoffs last year in like week whatever, just like the last 3 games going up into the Super Bowl. And yeah, now he's practicing in full. It's been a very long time since his injury, and people do criticize him for when he came back because they said he didn't look good. They said he didn't look explosive. So I think when he comes back, we might see a different player. You might see the old Cam Akers, and you know the risk is not really there. So it's been a long time since his injury, so it's not like super fresh. There's no like immediate risk of him like not starting right away. I mean, Darrell Henderson is still there to take from him, but he's definitely the more talented player if he's still that player. So he's going in the late 3rd, and I feel like he's in a better position than a lot of other like injured backs. Um, those are all like the major ones that are like coming off a huge injury and they actually matter in fantasy. I'm gonna just go over a couple more guys that were hurt or are hurt that may affect what's coming up. So Mike Evans, he hurt his hamstring in practice recently. He seems to have like lingering hamstring issues, but he always gets over them. He doesn't ever miss like extended time, but he did. It is recent, and he's going in the late second round. So just see if he comes back to practice and he keeps practicing in full or not, or if he re-injures it, then you might want to pass on him. But yeah, he already has a problem this year. Derrick Henry, he broke his foot last year, and he missed 9 games because of it. But it's fully healed at this point, and he's ready to go. He's being drafted in the early first. Um, I don't expect it to carry into this year, but it's just something to think about. Um, People were saying that he was starting to slow down a little bit before he went out. I mean, he was amazing last year, but they worked him to death. Like 26, 27 carries a game over like 2 seasons is a little rich for me. And he doesn't catch passes, so I mean, if there's any amount of decline or any amount of like work restriction with him, then he's not worth the early pick. It's just, I mean, I've been wrong about him every step of the way. I can't imagine them giving him 27 carries and then they give him 29. So what can I say? Robert Woods, he got hurt last season towards the end of the season. He got his surgery on his ACL on November 2021, and he's ready to play. And now he's traded to the Titans, and he's, I guess you could say, their number one wide receiver. They did draft a rookie wide receiver, Treylon Burks, but I think that guy's struggling in camp a little bit right now. But that shit's never true. So I would still take him with a grain of salt. I owned him last year, and he wasn't. I don't know. Stafford was amazing last year, and he like couldn't connect with Woods at all. Maybe it was because Cup was that good, or maybe it's because Woods is a little slower. But he's not young. I think he's like 30 years old now. So Robert Woods, new team, coming off injury, he's ready to play. He had a knee brace on earlier, but now he's playing without it. And I think the 2 more guys, Matt Stafford is dealing with like elbow soreness, like tendonitis, like Tommy John related business. Everyone is saying that it's not a big deal and they're just resting him and like a couple days on, couple days off. Um, it worries me a little bit, to be honest with you, because it is his throwing arm, and you know, for I'm kind of worried as someone that like might draft Cooper Cup if he has to like miss any time because of this, or it gets worse or something like that. That's a very potent offense for him to just slow down because of like an elbow strain. So Matt Stafford, just keep an eye on that. You know. Another thing that you should consider is the center for the Tampa Bay. I don't exactly remember what the injury was, but it is season ending. The starting center for the Buccaneers, he went down. So I guess you could say that hurts Brady and Fournette. So they already put in another center, like the backup, and he got hurt. He went out. But I think it was something minor like cramps. So I mean, they're just lacking at the center. So it might mean more dump offs for Fournette, but it might mean that Brady doesn't have any time. So just things to consider. Um, that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions about any players that I haven't gone over? You can ask them now, or I'm gonna finish it here. My God. Yeah. Stafford's just playing through it. It seems like they're just being a little careful with him, but the analysts that are talking about the injury are saying that it's not major. It's like it might be like a partial tear or something, but if you're asking me, it might be the difference between picking Jefferson or Kupp first overall. I mean, not first overall, but in the first round, because I mean, Stafford has not been very durable in his career. I mean, might have been old injuries, whatever you want to call it, but let's just like say it like that. So it is minor. I wouldn't overreact to it because no one else is saying to overreact to it. But yeah, it's just like some elbow tendonitis. Because I might not go Kupp, but I might like consider Allen Robinson late, and McCaffrey. I mean, McCaffrey's healthy. Let me see. So, sorry, I got the coves. Okay. So McCaffrey only played in 7 games in 2021 after missing 5 games due to a hamstring strain and 5 weeks due to an ankle sprain. His 2020 season was limited to just 3 games due to a high ankle sprain, AC joint sprain, and thigh/glute strain. Nonetheless, he will be ready for Week 1. People want to diagnose McCaffrey as injury prone, but his previous injuries weren't all soft tissue and are not correlated to each other. Unfortunately, he has experienced some bad luck. The amount of workload he has experienced is my only concern, but if the Panthers can control that a little better, then he is in a great position to bounce back. Due to the fact that it's tough to ignore the string of bad luck, McCaffrey is a low to moderate risk player, according to Fantasy Pros. I mean, I haven't heard that Dobbins is back to the point that they're saying like he's starting Week 1 and he's going to be popping. If he does start in Week 1, he just might be a little limited at that point. I think he'll be ready, but he just might not be himself. You might not get like the real Dobbins until a couple weeks in. But when I was reading about him, I didn't read that he was ready. But I do like him. I'm not very concerned about him. Um, I think Michael Thomas doesn't have any issues right now. Michael Thomas had an injury to the ankle and the deltoid ligament. Thomas did not participate in OTAs and may not be ready for training camp. This is old. The shocker of training camp so far has been Thomas starting camp as a full participant. As long as he doesn't suffer any setbacks during camp, Michael Thomas will start Week 1. He is still a high risk player but has enormous upside. So Michael Thomas is, he's looking good again. What's his name? There's the rookie receiver that's on the Saints, Chris Olave. I don't know how to say his last name. I might be butchering it, but supposedly he's looking great too. So Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. I talked about Akers. You want me to talk about Akers again? I said Cam Akers tore his Achilles in July of 2021. He returned from the playoffs last year, and he looked bad. But then he's had like a whole off season to work on that, and time will tell if he looks like his old explosive form. No, I didn't talk about Saquon either because I think he's fine. He's not even coming up on like the injury pages. Let me see. Saquon suffered a low ankle sprain in Week 5 against the Cowboys on a freak play. He was not the same for the rest of the season. He is now 2 years removed from his ACL injury. As mentioned before, year 2 is when athletes tend to look best after the ACL tears. I do not understand why people are trying to label him as injury prone. I am smashing the draft button every chance I get. In my opinion, Barkley is a low risk player. Barkley is participating in camp with no limitations. He looks great, and my expectations for him have not changed, according to my source. Yeah, I mean, Godwin's not ready yet. Godwin's not ready. He's on his way, but he's at that stage right now where he's like close to being able to practice, but if he doesn't like improve a little bit, then he's going to wind up on the PUP and then he just misses several weeks. Mhm. Yeah, I'd expect Godwin. You might miss like 1 or 2 weeks from him, but I think he's definitely going to be. You'll get a good Godwin this season. It just might not be in the first. Okay, James Robinson versus Etienne is tough. Um, that might be one that you can stay away from. Uh, I think Etienne is ready. All right. Etienne has been screaming up fantasy boards. He looks great in camp, and my expectations for him have not changed. So, I mean, yeah, it looks like Etienne is like becoming like this year's hype player for the offseason, but James Robinson is looming, and I still think Etienne has like a different skill set than he does, and it's not like the most intriguing offense that you should chase, but I think Etienne is safer, and he's being taken. Where's he being taken? He's a fourth round pick right now. And where's James Robinson being taken? James Robinson is being taken in the 7th. So Fantasy World is hedging their bets on Etienne over Robinson. Let me look at the draft board and see if there's anybody else that stands out. I don't really think so. Oh, there's one guy that I want to mention before I finish here. I didn't even realize it, but there's this Zeke. Oh, you want to talk about Zeke? No problem. Okay, so Zeke is healthy. He's being taken in late third round, mid third round. typically in fantasy drafts. He did finish as like the running back, I think 7 or 8 in fantasy last year, despite being like very boring and unproductive. He just stayed healthy for the whole season. So that's what happens when a player stays healthy. They just wind up finishing strong. But everyone is just saying he's not the same player, and it's obvious, and we've seen his best. But the Cowboys love him, and they're gonna just use the crap out of him. Uh, you got to take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I personally like, you don't take him because he's like a league winning player. You take him because he's gonna be like a steady stream of points. But I mean, oh god, he just he doesn't do a lot with his carries, and but he's a great run blocker. But Tony Pollard is like really electric as a player, and they are gonna try and get him more involved because um, the Cowboys, they don't have what's his name? I want to say Alice Cooper, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is gone. Michael Gallup is injured. Um, they don't have the same options that they had last year, so they're gonna have to either go to the tight end or go to the running backs more. So I think that could help Zeke and it could help Pollard, but I do think, in my humble opinion, that Pollard is the better player at this point. And you know, Zeke could surprise us, but I just think we've seen his best, and that's why he's going in the third round now and no longer going in the first. But he's healthy. Huh, Michael Gallup. Maybe he's okay. Let me see what's up with Michael Gallup. Mhm. Yeah, Michael Gallup might return like in mid-season. You don't want to bet on him. You probably, I don't know. I wouldn't draft him. Anything else? I think that's everything. Okay, well, yeah, I will make a video that talks about the. Oh, you keep as soon as I'm about to wrap it up. Yes. Okay. So the New York Jets drafted a rookie named Brees Hall, and supposedly he's awesome, and he's going in the fifth round of fantasy drafts. Um, and the Jets, it looks like he's going to be their starting running back, Brees Brees Hall. Yeah, yeah. I think they took him with the second round pick, which is strange because they took Michael Carter, I think, with the fourth round pick last year. So, um, but Brees Hall is supposed to be very explosive, and he could be like a guy that you take in those mid rounds that winds up being like a guy who can take a full workload. He's like the only rookie running back that's getting a lot of attention. So when you see that name, you're going to be like, who the hell is that? And be like, oh, that's the Jets running back who might be a sneaky play. I'm just surprised that they drafted him so early. So yeah, we'll see what happens in training camp. Hopefully, the injuries are very few and far between, but it's going to be a good year. I think things are going to change a lot this year, and we got to adapt to them. I think that teams are going to be very careful with their running backs going forward. I think that we're going to see a lot of committees, and with that said, I don't think that we should draft like, oh, we got to get this guy because he's going to get 30 carries. I think we need to realize that a lot of players, even starting in the second round, are going to be sharing the ball with one other guy, and that's just going to be the way of the game going forward. I mean, they just to like keep their guys healthy. So, with that said, I am planning on going more receiver heavy this year until I feel good about the next generation of running backs. But yeah, you still need running backs. You still need a couple of running backs. So I'm gonna take the ones that I feel strongly about, but I'm definitely not gonna chase, you know, Derrick Henry at 27 years old after he's gotten an insane amount of carries for 2 years straight. So I mean, I think it is a PPR league. If you go into our Yahoo rankings and sort the players by fantasy points last year, you're gonna see that it was mostly receivers and tight ends, like Mark Andrews and maybe even Kelsey. So, um, yeah, it's you're not crazy if you try and go for the receivers and make that the strength of your team, and then just take a couple of running backs because Aaron Jones is going to have A.J. Dillon, Ezekiel Elliott is going to have Tony Pollard, David Montgomery is going to have Khalil Herbert. Everyone's going to have like a side guy that's like dipping into their business, except for a few. But the ones that aren't really sharing are ones that are like pretty old and are banged up because they should have been sharing. So I mean, I've always been the guy that goes running back. But I just think the league has changed a lot, and since we're playing PPR, you got to get those volume receivers because that's the kind of volume that you can kind of trust. You can't trust touchdowns, but you can trust 9 catches a game or multiple targets. So that's my take this year, and I think you should just go for the points where you know they're going to go. A lot of elite receivers changed teams this year, like Debo. Not Debo, Tyreek. Um, Tyreek, I don't know if he's going to be the same. He's going to need to make a lot of big plays to continue to be drafted as an elite receiver. And then Debo has Trey Lance now, and now they have healthy running backs, so you don't know if he's going to get the same workload. But yeah, Devontae Adams is now on the Raiders. You don't know if he's going to be as good without Rodgers. So there's so much changing that you should really just like play for the upside and get the guys you like. I think it's a year where you should just get trashed during the draft and get the guys that you want to see perform and have a good time because I really think we're going to have a total overhaul of who we think is valuable in fantasy this year. Like, I don't really trust much, honestly. But yeah, you should still. I would go for the guys that have been in the year for like 2 or 3 years and just stock up on elite talent. And that's all I got to say. I'm taking Justin Jefferson. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna share this into our group, and yeah, if you want to play Fall Guys later, hit me up.